A very warm welcome to today's class. Today we will discuss a very significant topic, which is pregnancy and lactation. As we have been discussing human reproduction, pregnancy is the major event which leads to a healthy child or a healthy baby production. Now, what happens during this pregnancy and how the placenta is formed is what we will cover in today's class. So, first let us come to pregnancy. How do we define pregnancy? We can define pregnancy as the time period from conception till the childbirth. That is, from the time fertilization occurs till the child has taken birth, and it is approximately 9 months plus minus 7 days in case of human beings. We can divide this entire pregnancy period into 3 trimesters. Okay, these trimesters are divided according to the functional as well as the physiological developments that are taking place in the embryo. We had already discussed the difference between a fetus and the embryo in our last class. So, today we will see how the changes takes place gradually from a fertilized zygote to the completely grown baby. And this entire period of 3 trimesters can be divided week wise also. So, we will deal with the broad 3 divisions, that are the 3 trimesters, and what the changes are taking place during these trimesters. And here let me tell you, a placenta, which is a organ that is formed by the contribution of both the maternal and fetal parts, it plays a very important role in pregnancy. Now, coming to the different stages of pregnancy, as you can see in this diagram, we have a fertilized egg and day wise development till the formation of a blastocyst, and thereafter our embryonic development proceeds and the complete baby is formed at the end of 9 months. Now, what happens during the first trimester? We can say week 1 to 12 are included under this first trimester, and during this period all the embryological and early fetal developments will take place, and the rudiments, or we can say the pre-formation of the rudiments of all the organ systems that are going to develop are produced during this trimester. So, we can say that rudiments of all major organ systems will appear by the first trimester, and in the diagram you can see it does not completely look like a human, but somehow there are certain rudimentary structures that resemble a human being. Now, coming to the second trimester, the week 13 to 24 are included under this period, and what happens during this period? Development of the rudiments that were formed in the first trimester leading to development of your organ and organ system will take place. And by the end of this second trimester, you can see the fetus now looks somewhat like human. In the diagram you can see it is the fetus within the amniotic sac, placenta is well marked, the limb birds along with fingers, and you can see the eyes are yet not fully developed. So, there are different changes that are taking place in each trimester leading to the gradual development of the baby. Now, coming to the third trimester, from week 25 till birth, we can say that this entire period consists of the third trimester, and during this period, as our organ and organ systems have already been formed, rapid fetal growth will take place. There will be deposition of adipose tissue, the fetus will grow in size and it will become more chubbier. Now, the major organ systems will start to become functional by the end of the third trimester. Now, at the end of the third trimester, there are certain physiological processes that will take place that will help in expulsion of the child, which is called as parturition, which we will deal with in the later class. Now, let us deal with what is placenta. As I have already told you, it is a feto-maternal organ. Mane kono? Now, it consists of parts from the fetus as well as the maternal endometrial lining. It has two components, the fetal part and the maternal part. The fetal part develops from the chorionic sac and the maternal part is derived from the endometrium. The placenta and the umbilical cord, they act like a transport system for the substances between the mother and the fetus. Now, what are the functions of this placenta? Why at all there is a need for a communication between the fetus and the mother? So, it has various functions and some of them are listed. As you can see, it has a major role in protection. It acts as a barrier which do not allow high weight substances from the maternal blood to pass through into the embryonic blood. It supplies nutrition to the growing fetus. In the intervillous space where there is exchange of substances between the maternal and the fetal blood supply, nutrition is also a major aspect wherein glucose molecules are transferred from the maternal blood into the vessels of the fetus. It also helps in respiration, oxygen is transferred and carbon dioxide is expelled out. Excretion, the metabolic waste that are created from the fetus is also taken away by this placenta and the fetus get rid of its waste products. It also acts as a endocrine gland or it is a temporary endocrine gland we can say, and it helps in hormone production. The major hormone that has a significant role during pregnancy is your beta human chorionic gonadotrophin or beta HCG. This HCG, what it does, we have already discussed in our last class. HCG will stimulate the corpus luteum to secrete progesterone that will help in the maintenance of the endometrium for the entire period of pregnancy. Along with HCG, the placenta also secretes certain amount of estrogen, progesterone, human placental lactogen, relaxin, and all these hormonal secretions, they increase their level in the maternal blood, which also helps in maintaining the pregnancy. Now, passive immunity, coming to passive immunity, how it helps in passive immunity? As the maternal blood and the fetal blood are in close association, so whatever antibodies are present in the maternal blood, say for example, the mother has already faced some kind of diseases and has developed antibodies against them. So, these antibodies can be passively diffused from the maternal blood into the fetal circulation, and this renders passive immunity to the fetus. Why we say passive? Because it has already been formed in the mother's body, which is now transferred to the fetal body. It is not of its own, it is something that comes from the mother and helps in a passive immunity or helps in immunization of the fetus till its own system takes up the function of immunity. Next, storage organ. The placenta also acts as a storage organ until the liver is completely functional in the fetus. Now, after discussing the functional aspects of placenta, let us see how this placenta is formed. We have already discussed it is formed from the chorionic villi, that is why we say it is chorionic placenta. And so, this chorionic villi development is also a major activity that takes part in the formation of placenta. So, what happens? As the embryonic tissue of the fetus, it will invade the maternal uterine vessels, they will erode the maternal vessels. Once these maternal vessels are eroded, they will lead to oozing out of blood from the maternal vessels, be it arteries or veins. There will be rupture and blood will flow. Now, when this uterine vessels are eroded, by the time the syncytial trophoblast cells will produce a lacuna or a space within the already forming primary villus, and these space are interconnected with each other, and these are referred to as your lacunar spaces, We will discuss this vividly with a diagram on the board. So, do not worry for the details, we will go into it. First, by the end of second week, the chorionic villi will begin to develop, and by the end of third week, the blood capillaries will develop in the chorionic villi. That is when we say that these villi are in the tertiary phase or mature chorionic villi ready to form the placenta. The fetal blood capillaries will project into the lacuna, forming intervillous spaces. What are these intervillous spaces? How this chorionic villi will penetrate? We will discuss everything in details. Now, the maternal and fetal blood will not mix. You must be thinking that once the tissue of the maternal vessels are ruptured, there will be a mixing of the fetal and the maternal blood, but this does not happen, as the vessels or the projections from the fetus are in closed vessels and they do not intermingle with the maternal blood. Now, coming to the placenta. What is this placenta? It is formed by, it is a structure, as I told you, feto-maternal structure, and it is formed by the union of maternal decidua and fetal chorionic villi. Last class रे decidua भी आमे discussion करिथिले, the part of the endometrium that is sloughs off after the childbirth, we say that it is decidua. So, this placenta is formed by the union of maternal decidua and fetal chorionic villi. Connected to the, it is connected, this placenta is connected to the fetus by the umbilical cord. The fully developed placenta is a disc shaped structure with a diameter of about 15 to 20 centimeter, which is around 2 to 5 centimeter thick, and it weighs around 500 grams. Now, the development of placenta takes place around 8th week of development. The entire chorionic sac is covered with villi till the 7th week. As this sac, chorionic sac is that which covers your entire embryo. Now, this entire sac is covered with villus till the 7th week. After the 7th week, that is when the 8th week will begin, the sac will grow, and only the part that is associated with the maternal part, which is your decidua basalis, will retain its villi. Now, the villi of the decidua capsularis will get compressed by the sac, and two types of chorions will be formed, which are your villus chorion and smooth chorion. And by the end of 4th month of development, the decidua basilis is almost entirely replaced by the fetal part of the placenta. So, how these changes are taking place? There is removal of the villus from the entire surface area of the chorion, only a small part of the chorion will retain the villi, and there will be compression of your decidua capsularis. So, all these events, they are formed in such a synchronized manner that at the end only a part of the embryo will be associated with the placenta. So, we say that by the end of 4th month, almost entirely the decidua basalis is entirely replaced by the fetal part of the placenta, and somewhat metadiscoidal type of appearance is seen. What can we say about the placenta that is formed in man? If there are questions about, say, the type of placentation in man, we can say the placenta in man is chorionic because it is made from the chorionic villi. We can say it is hemochorial in nature. Hemochorial mane kona? Na amaro fetal membranes tinita thae and maternal membranes tinita thae, which act as barriers during the formation of placenta. If all the three maternal barriers are absent and the chorionic villi is entirely embedded within the maternal blood, we say it is hemochorial placenta. What is metadiscoidal? As I have already told you, at first the entire surface will be covered by villi, but slowly and gradually the later part, only a small disc shaped portion will retain the villi. So, this is called as your metadiscoidal placenta. And what is deciduate? We have said that the part of the endometrium which comes out of the female's body or the mother's body after childbirth is decidua. So, this decidua which is expelled after the childbirth, for that we can say that it is deciduate placenta in human beings. So, we have discussed the formation of placenta and the what we can say about the placentation in man, what are the different names by which we say that this placenta is present in man. Now, this diagram will explain in details. I will show you how this chorionic villi will penetrate the endometrium and how this placenta is formed. We will discuss everything in details. ताहले ये जो डायग्राम टी देखुच स्क्रीन उपरे केमती chorionic villi is forming your placenta. We will see the detailed formation केमती तैयारी होची आउ केमती तमरो maternal and fetal membrane they are forming, coming together to form placenta. So, ये diagram टे के पिला माने देखी पारथुवो, this is my blastocyst stage. Blastocyst रे कौन थिला? We had a space or a cavity that was, this is a late blastocyst we can say. जो तेरे तमरो germinal bilaminar disc अच्छी. We have the amniotic cavity and we have the yolk sac, and this yolk sac will give rise to the extra embryonic mesoderm. This is my extra embryonic mesodermal layer. Now, this extra embryonic mesodermal layer will split into two and the space between them will form your extracoelomic space or the extracoelomic cavity. So, when this will split, we will have the somatopleuric extraembryonic mesoderm and splanchnopluric, as we have already discussed in the last class. बाहरे रहिला गोटे लेयर आउ yolk sac पाखकु लागि गला गोटे लेयर, मझिरे जोटा रहिला that is the cavity or the extracoelomic space that is formed. Now, this layer of cells, they will form your chorion, and this is my amniotic cavity. The cells of the amniotic cavity will give rise to your amnion. And the trophoblast cells that were there on the late blastocyst, they were differentiated into syncytiotrophoblast and cytotrophoblast. Once you get this picture clear, we will move ahead to how the formation is proceeding. So, once the trophoblast has been differentiated into syncytiotrophoblast and cytotrophoblast, this syncytiotrophoblast will erode into the maternal lining and it will rupture some of its blood vessels. So, when these vessels are ruptured, the maternal blood will flow in this particular space, and by that time the cytotrophoblast cells have formed the primary villi. Okay. Now, these cytotrophoblast cells, they have formed your primary villi. Once this mesodermal layer that is there will enter into this primary villi, they will form the secondary villi. These are my chorionic villi, and once my secondary villi is supplied with blood, it will form my tertiary villi, and these structures will protrude into the maternal layer. Now, once this structure will protrude into the maternal layer, they have blood supply within them and the maternal blood has diffused over here. Now, let me rub this diagram. For a simple understanding, we can say that when these two come together, lie in opposition to each other, the placenta is formed. From here, if this is my maternal layer and this is my fetal membrane, from the fetal membrane, the villus will enter into the maternal membrane. These villi are somehow branch structures, okay, which is bathing completely in the maternal fluid or the maternal blood supply. Now, these villi, they will join together to form the umbilical cord, which will have the umbilical artery and vein that will be supplied to all of this. Okay. तो कौन है आमर विलाई चारिआडे फर्स्ट तैयारी होइथिला, but with development as your sac grows, it compresses certain parts of your embryo and the rest of the villi will degenerate. Only the part that is in attachment with the decidua basilis, eta kona decidua basilis is the endometrium or the endometrial part which remains attached to these villus structures. So, this is the maternal part that will form the placenta, and this is my fetal part which is forming the chorionic villi. So, the chorionic villi from the fetus and the decidua basilis, they will together form your placenta. Now, when completely formed, how this placenta will look like? This will be connected to the fetus. Umbilical cord is the connection that will connect to the fetus. Suppose my fetus is here. This is my amniotic sac in which the growing fetus is developing. Say suppose this is my fetus and it is supplied with this umbilical cord. That is the connection between the placenta and the fetus, and this entire structure will form the placenta. Now, there is no mixing of maternal blood. Why? Because even though the capillaries or the arterioles and venules have ruptured and blood comes to this particular space, which we say as these are the villi, and the space in between these villi is filled with blood. So, we can say this is the intervillous space. Okay. So, within this intervillous space, the villi are suspended. These villi are supplied with the blood vessels from the fetus. So, the fetal excretion, for example, we say whatever metabolic waste will come out, or say suppose for respiration purpose whatever carbon dioxide will come out, everything will diffuse out at this particular site, which will be taken up by the maternal circulation for purification. So, once in this intervillous space, the exchange of fetal and maternal, the exchange will take place between the fetus and the mother. So, now I hope the placenta formation, how it will look like. छुआ मानकर सब बेले डाउट टा थाए जे प्लासेंटा टा पूरा एंटायर सैक ऊपर थाए ना गोटे जगार थाए. इट इज समव्हाट लाइक दिस द स्ट्रक्चर and it has a connection, and here is my fetus, here is my developing fetus. So, eta kon rahila, suppose this is my entire endometrium, this part is my decidua basilis okay, and this is my placenta that is formed by conjugation of parts from both the mother as well as the fetus. Fetus ro chorionic villi jibo, it will invade into the endometrium of the mother and it will form the placenta. This placenta will not only act as a barrier between maternal and fetal blood circulation, but also it will nourish the growing fetus till birth. So, I hope the formation of placenta and how this chorionic villi is helping in its formation is clear. Now that we have already studied the various aspects of human reproduction till the placenta formation and development of the fetus, we are left with parturition and thereafter lactation. ताले आज क्लास रे आमे कौन पढ़िबा? आमे parturition केमती mechanism तारो कोण and what is the mechanism of lactation. We will deal with these two units or these two parts in our class today. So, what is parturition? Parturition can be defined as a process by which the fetal membranes, the fetus and the placenta are expelled from the mother's body or the uterus at the end of the gestation period, or in simple words we can say it is the act of giving birth to a child is called as parturition, and it is also called as labor. In some books there is written that there are different stages of labor. So, we can use both the terms synonymously, and this particular mechanism is induced by neuroendocrine stimulation. Neuroendocrine stimulation माने तमरो nervous system involve होबो and the endocrine system, they will act together to make this act a success, or parturition to be complete. Both the nervous system and endocrine system have to come together and see that both the aspects are taken care of properly. Now, what is the neuroendocrine mechanism that is associated with parturition? Now, fetal ejection reflex, तमने nervous system पढ़िला बेले neural reflex विषय रे पढ़िथिबो. Now, we will study fetal ejection reflex. What is fetal ejection reflex? Fetus को body eject out करिबो and it is a kind of reflex, that is why we say it is neuro as well as endocrine mechanism. Now, when the gestation period is complete, the fetus will send certain signals. The signals from the fetus and the placenta will induce mild uterine contractions in the mother, and this will lead to release of oxytocin from the pituitary gland of the mother. So, pituitary gland will secrete oxytocin and the level of oxytocin will go up in maternal blood. This oxytocin will trigger further stronger uterine contractions. Oxytocin ro kamo hela, it will trigger contractions, and jetale barambar oxytocin concentration build up he jibo, these contractions will increase in intensity. Now, at the end of about 40 weeks of gestation, ame aguru padithile, it is 9 months plus minus 7 days for the entire period of gestation. So, we can say it is about 40 weeks. So, at the end of your gestation period, which is 40 weeks, these uterine contractions will begin. Initially, they are weak and painless, or we can say it is a kind of false labor, and these are sometimes a false indication that the mother is going into labor, but these are false indications or false labor, and it is also called as Braxton Hicks. When these intermittent contractions will become more painful and increase in frequency, the duration and force will also increase, and it will lead to the dilation of the cervix. Cervix ta kona? Now, it is the birth canal. ame thoda reproductive parts female ro discussion karthile, seti vagina, cervix और uterine cavity केमती line up हेकी रोचे देखिथिले. So, cervix is our birth canal. So, these contractions will lead to dilation of the cervix. जेतेबेले cervix dilation start हबो, we say that is the first stage of labor. We can divide the entire period of labor into 3 stages. Stage 1 is dilation. It will begin from the painful contractions of the uterus to complete dilation of the cervix, so that crowning can take place. Crowning mane hela जेतबेले cervix टा completely dilate heijibo, the head of the fetus is visible. Now, this is the first stage of labor, and at this time the membranes will rupture and the amniotic fluid will come out, or in common terms tamane sunithibo water bag rupture or water is coming out. This is nothing but the amniotic sac will rupture and it will lead to the expulsion of the amniotic fluid, and this in the first pregnancy it may last for about 12 to 16 hours. In the consequent pregnancies, this time period might go down. Now, after this we will go to the second stage. The second stage of labor is expulsion stage. What is this expulsion stage? Now, this stage will begin with complete dilation of the cervix. The fetus will gradually come down through this dilated birth canal, and this birth canal will be formed by merging of the uterus, then cervix and then vagina. They will form a complete canal or a broad channel through which the fetus will come out of the mother's body, and finally, the fetus is delivered. These voluntary contractions of the abdominal muscles and the diaphragm that will help in the delivery process. Contractions of both your abdominal muscles, diaphragm, and the straining that is caused due to these contractions that will help in the delivery of the fetus. Now, going to the third stage. After the fetal delivery, what is left out? We have discussed that decidua formation takes place in case of human beings, or we say it is deciduate type of placental formation. So, after the baby has come out of the mother's body, now it is the time for the umbilical cord and the placenta to come out. So, we say this is the placental stage. Now, the expulsion of the placenta, which follows a few minutes after the delivery of the fetus, marks the third stage of labor, and it is followed by delivery. So, there is the beginning of uterine contraction. Once the baby is out of the uterus, the uterine layer will contract, so that the bleeding will finally come to a stop and it will start the repair process. In about 28 to 35 days, the uterus will again return back to its normal configuration or the normal state as it was before pregnancy. Now, in this diagram, as you can see, all the 3 stages of labor that we have discussed, the 9-month-old fetus completely developed, coming out through the cervix. The cervix will dilate, the complete dilation will lead to crowning or the head will be visible, the rupture of amniotic sac will take place, and in the second stage of birth, the baby will completely emerge out of the mother's body. And in the last diagram, you can see the placenta and the umbilical cord is expelled out. So, these are the 3 different stages of labor, and this is how parturition takes place in females. Now, what are the hormonal sequences that are associated with this? Placenta, as we know, is a temporary endocrine gland. So, this will also secrete certain hormones. Now, placenta, as you can see in this slide, secretes CRH or corticotrophin releasing hormone. Now, these corticotrophin releasing hormone, which is released from the placenta, will further lead to secretion of dehydroepiandrosterone sulfate, and this will lead to secretion of prostaglandins from the placenta. And in the fetus, this CRH will stimulate lung maturation, whereas in the maternal blood, the CRH will lead to secretion of oxytocin. Oxytocin will lead to myometrial contraction or contraction of the uterine myometrium muscular layer. This will lead to cervical dilation and the baby will take birth or the birth process will be accomplished. Now, these hormones, they play in a coordinated manner, as you can see in this diagram. these are the hormones during the first, second and third trimesters of pregnancy, and during the first trimester beta HCG level will go up. It will stimulate progesterone secretion from corpus luteum and maintenance, and thereafter the estrogen and progesterone from the ovary will continue up to the third trimester, and at the parturition we can see there is a fall in both the estrogen, progesterone as well as the beta HCG. So, this will lead to the expulsion of the fetus from the uterine cavity. So, as you can see, there is a complex process which is going on, and all these hormones, they together play a role in performing this complicated pathway of parturition. ताले आमे देखिले हार्मोन्स माने केमती रेगुलेट करछन्ती पार्चुरेशन को. एबे जदि गोटे सिंगल डायग्राम रे आमे एंटायर प्रोसेस टा को एक्सप्लेन करबा ताले ई स्लाइड टी देखो. ई स्लाइड रे तमे देखिबो मझिरे अछि गोटे full grown baby after the end of gestation period. Now, this baby will push against the cervix and it will trigger stretching. Now, the stretching of the cervix will cause nerve impulses to be sent to the brain. I said it is neuroendocrine. So, these nerve impulses will be sent to the brain, and brain will stimulate the posterior pituitary to release oxytocin. Oxytocin ro kama kona? Oxytocin will cause smooth muscle lining of the uterus to contract. Oxytocin contraction will trigger further contractions until the baby is completely pushed out of the birth canal. So, by this we come to the end of parturition. Tapare, after the child has taken birth, let us see how its food requirements are met. Janma ho choti kandibo? Now, kandibata ame food requirements saito link kari paribani. It is a different environment. It was there in a amniotic sac, water filled environment. When it comes out to the extraterrestrial environment full without water, it cries, and it is the first sign of life. And then the first requirement is nutrition. Now, placenta is not there to provide nutrition. So, the only way the baby will get nutrition is through the process of lactation. Lactation is the production of milk in the mammary glands of the mother. Female reproductive system रे मने पका mammary glands रो details भी हमें describe करिथिले कौन कौन parts अछि तारो एठी देखिबा how is it functional. So, these mammary glands will produce milk and it will be the first source of nutrition for the newly born child. Now, after the childbirth, the alveolar cells will get enlarged and distended and it will start forming milk. This process is called as lactogenesis. What is involution then? Lactogenesis is formation of milk. Jetebale after the normal period of lactation, say for example, from 7 to 9 months till the baby will feed upon the mother's milk, after that period is over, the alveolar epithelium will undergo apoptosis and the glands will revert back to the non-pregnant state, or before pregnancy jemti condition thila, it will again revert back to that state. That is called as involution. Tale eti dita term name janile, lactogenesis, which is formation of milk from the mammary glands, and involution, which is apoptosis of those glands that were active during lactogenesis to revert it back to the normal state. Now, what are the type of human milk? Why I am saying type of human milk? Because tinita different variety re hame eta ko categorize kari pariba. First is the colostrum. Colostrum is the postpartum secretion which is deep yellow color and it contains a very high protein concentration. It contains immunoglobulins, all the 5. Mostly abundant is your IgA immunoglobulin and it is lower in fat content. Then comes the transition milk or the intermediate milk, which is secreted from the mammary glands from day 6 to 15th, and thereafter after the 15th day whatever secretion comes, we say that it is mature milk. Tinta jako stage re difference is that as per the requirement of the child, the concentration of the constituents varies. Now, in this diagram, as you can see, left side रे तमे देखि पारुथबो तम जो डायग्राम टी देछि ह्यूमन ब्रेस्ट रो डायग्राम सेथिरे दीटा जिंस से हाइलाइट करछि गोटे हला लोब्यूलर सेल्स एंड डक्ट सेल्स एंटायर सिस्टम रे ए दीटा जिंस तुमको हेल्प करिवो in the secretion of the milk to the nipple through which the baby can suckle it down. Right side रे जो डायग्राम टी देछि सेथिरे आउ टिके एनलार्ज व्यू देछि जोथरे की गोटे सिंगल lobule or the alveoli is enlarged जोथरे तमरो milk secreting cells label कराइछि. Now these milk secreting cells are apocrine in nature, that is a part of their apical portion is pinched off to secrete the milk into this particular cavity, which leads to a duct system, and all this duct will lead to the nipple. They will lead finally to a sinus that will lead to the nipple. Now, each lobe will contain lobules. A short recap of the structure, as we have already discussed. In this right side you can see there is a pectoralis major muscle, red color रे जोटा देखा जाउछि. That muscle helps in providing support to the breast. Now, there is suspensory ligaments that are there that attaches from the muscles, and they will help in attaching all these lobules in position. These lobules are composed of milk secreting glands, which are your alveoli, and above these lobules, as we have seen in this particular diagram, the diagram before, there are myoepithelial cells that cover up the alveoli. These myoepithelial cells, they will contract once the milk is secreted into the cavity. The myoepithelial cells will contract and it will help in propelling this secreted milk into the duct system. Now, the myoepithelial cells, they are regulated by the action of oxytocin. Prolactin hormone will stimulate milk production as the infant will suck the mother's breast. A diagram टी देखि पारिबो clearly we can explain the entire procedure that the suckling will stimulate the nerves in the nipple and areola that will travel to the hypothalamus. In response, hypothalamus will stimulate the pituitary, here the posterior pituitary part, to release oxytocin, and the anterior pituitary to release prolactin. And this oxytocin and prolactin, what they will do? Oxytocin will help in contraction of the myoepithelial cells. So, it will help in letting the milk down the ductal system, and prolactin will help in milk production. So, this is how milk is produced and the baby gets its nourishment from the mammary glands of the mother. Now, let us have a detailed description of how these events are controlled hormonally. आमे देखिले oxytocin और prolactin release होछि. Oxytocin and prolactin are the two. Prolactin lactation रे जोटा help करूछि. So, मने रखिया को सहज. Prolactin that is helping in the lactation process, and oxytocin is constricting the myoepithelial cells. अच्छा, आमर सबु बळे प्रोलैक्टिन सिक्रेशन होची ना होनी मेमोरी ग्लैंड्स रे. नॉर्मल कंडीशंस रे प्रोलैक्टिन सिक्रेशन हुए नहीं. Whenever there is a cry or a sound from a baby or there is a suckling reflex, then only it leads to the secretion of prolactin from the pituitary that will lead to production of milk. Rest of the time, how is it inhibited? Rest of the time we have a inhibitory molecule that is not allowing the prolactin to be secreted from the mammary glands. Once this reflex goes to the hypothalamus, it will instruct that particular inhibitory molecule, which is your prolactin inhibitory hormone, to be shut down, or it is negatively stimulated to be shut down. Once this inhibitory hormone is shut down, it will lead to secretion of prolactin. ताले milk secretion केमती होचे आमे देखिले. Now we have come to the end of the entire unit of human reproduction, starting from the anatomical aspect of both male and female reproductive system. तापरे आमे discussion कले fertilization process केमती हुए, fertilization process परे implantation केमती हैला, implantation रे morula formation, blastula formation, then gastrulation हैला, and the placenta was formed and the fetus grew in the mother's uterine cavity till parturition. After parturition, induced by the 3 stages of labor, parturition took place and finally it led to, we discussed, lactation. So, with this we come to the end of this unit, which is human reproduction. ताले पिला माने reproductive system रे not only the anatomical aspects we have studied, we have also studied the endocrine aspects, the neurological aspect, how the neuroendocrine system comes together. It is a very complex procedure and very smoothly it is coordinated. Everything goes in step by step without any conflicting situations, and even if conflicting situations arise, your body manages to repair all those things. Now, what have we learnt in the entire process? First, in human reproduction, there is no differentiation between a male and a female. Reproductive category आमे जब देखिवा, number of cell, division, everything is at par with each other. There is no differentiation between the, or there is no difference, sorry, not differentiation, there is no difference between the sex. Both are equal. Second aspect what we learnt, that this entire process is dependent on the maternal endometrium. Major part is played by your maternal endometrium. So, even before birth, even before a child has taken birth or come into this world, it talks with its mother through the placenta. So, what this placenta does? It is a crosstalk between the maternal and the fetal circulation, through which it gains all its requirements, even it gains passive immunity from certain diseases, it meets its nutritive requirements, everything that is a waste to the fetus comes out through this particular placenta formation. And what else happens? We have seen the very systematic development of a single cell zygote into a multicellular human being. So, when we say multicellular human being with different physical and physiological aspect, we have well formed organ systems, we have well coordinated neuroendocrine coordinations, and what kind of physiology or how beautifully everything is arranged in such a compact or in such a streamlined manner that none of the artificial systems that are man-made can ever match to this particular system that is present in your own body, which is your reproductive system. So, at every point we have seen that when things proceed normally, when everything goes in a normal process, the end result is always a miracle. We say it a miracle because have you ever imagined that coming from a single cell you will become what you are today? A morula, blastula, gastrula, then you finally sitting in front and listening to the lectures. So, isn't it an amazing thing that this particular system which we have already discussed, your entire unit, whatever we have dealt with, be it the reproductive system. So, what, let me note down what we have already dealt with, the male and the female reproductive system, then we have discussed the cycles that are present in the female, we have discussed about the menstrual cycle, we have also discussed regarding the fertilization process, wherein the single sperm that comes to fertilize the ovum, even before birth, we go through a rat race or a hurdle race to accomplish the final aim, that is fertilizing the particular ovum. Then after fertilization, proper implantation. Not only fertilization, but implantation also teaches us some moral values. Implantation रे हमें कौन दिखतिले? That a single celled structure going to a new surrounding, first it accommodates, takes time, learns about the atmosphere, then invades into it. It does not just go and invade into the uterine endometrium. So, in any situation, if you take your time, energy and then decide at which particular path to follow, you will definitely achieve your goal. After implantation, the growth of the baby. This was by a mutual give and take relationship that was accompanied by the help of placenta. And then parturition. Even here, if there was no mutual coordination between the hormones that are secreted from the fetus and the ovarian hormones, then also parturition would not have been possible. So, everywhere from the beginning till the end, we see that it is a coordinated mechanism, very sophisticated and much more coordinated than any artificial system of the entire world. So, with this we come to, we have also discussed in fact lactation. So, with this we come to the end of this particular unit of human reproduction. So, always remember that we never come with a manual by birth, we just come with a mother who is responsible for your entire existence. Thank you.